welcome to another episode of Talking Shop. I've got my buddy Andrew Thrasher here, and we are going to talk about the 10-year anniversary of the Great Financial Crisis. If you haven't read it yet, I'll link to it, but Andrew wrote a great little post about your experience, what you remember from that. I thought it'd be fun to hash that out, relive those memories real quick, and talk about how that shaped our career. So why don't you share with everybody your story, your recollection of that week, and how that shaped out your career.
Sure. So in the middle of the financial crisis, I was really still in college. I was my senior year at Purdue studying financial planning. So being in financial planning had some exposure to kind of what was going on, but looking back, nowhere near the idea of really what was happening. So I was kind of getting ready to go into the workforce. You see there's didn't know what volatility was at the time, but a lot of volatility.
And if you don't know, he is the king of volatility. This is the Charles Dow Award winner for his paper on volatility.
Yeah. So just getting ready to go into the industry, and so really I graduated May '09, and so it was kind of looking back, it was in the background now at that point, but it was hearing from professors and kind of hearing what was going on. It was pretty surreal, and then just kind of seeing the aftershocks in the years that followed. That's kind of what I wrote about, was how that really is what shaped kind of my investment viewpoint, and then how I view the market, just kind of what happened in the flash crash and 2011, and just kind of the large amounts of market movement early on, where some people maybe started off in like the 90s and saw straight market up through the dot-com boom. It's kind of like your first couple of years really, I think, shape and mold how you view the market. And at least for me, I think that's how I take it.
So do you have one specific memory from that week, or even beyond just the week, but from that time period? You think it really stands out?
Nothing at least from that period. My dad works in finance, and so kind of hearing from things that he's saying. But fortunately, and thank God that our family really wasn't impacted. We didn't lose our house. My parents weren't let go during the crisis. We really weren't impacted specifically. I mean, obviously you make cutbacks and you do the things you have to do during an economic contraction like that. But really, I was pretty insulated during kind of the meat of the decline. It really wasn't until after graduating and then kind of getting into the market and seeing what had all happened, and the bailouts and all that. But it was an interesting time to be starting out a career and trying to get into finance after basically half the industry got wiped out.
Right. See, my story is a little different. I'm a little bit older, so I'll never forget the 15th, as I'm going to write about it. I have a post coming out. That's my anniversary. So September 15th is also the same day that Lehman filed bankruptcy. We came out of the weekend and they filed bankruptcy. So I spent that night calling all my clients, letting them know. I'm usually not reactive to news and reaching out to clients because I don't want to create a panic.
Sure.
But things were starting to build up, and this was a big deal. And I had a call during our anniversary dinner, and I told my wife, okay, well, I got to go call clients and just be there and let them know I'm on top of things. So spent that night calling all my clients, was exhausted by the time that was over. Next day, the 16th, AIG receives a bailout, and the company that I worked for at the time was a 403B company. Don't hold that against me. And they were owned by AIG. And the funny thing is, they spent a boatload of money leading up, right before the crisis, rebranding the company to AIG Retirement. So this name that had been existent for 50 years was gone. This is going to be great. We have AIG, a part of our company name, and then they take this bailout. And it was quick that they went back to the old company name, dropped AIG. It wasn't a part of anything. So I had Lehman and calling all the my clients, and then the next day calling all my clients again, letting them know that AIG got the bailout, but we're a subsidiary. Like, your investments are not an AIG stock. You don't have to worry about that. And in an absolute worst case scenario, my company gets sold off. Your investments are with the individual fund companies themselves, and we move on. But it was a scary time for clients. How that shaped my career was, I already knew I wanted to go independent, but it was that moment where I saw AIG mess with my money as far as my career and my relationships with my clients, and that was the point I knew that I was going to go independent. I didn't want anybody else messing up my reputation, messing up my client relationships because of what they were doing. So that's what I will always remember, and it also made me more skeptical of the big picture. I'm an optimistic person, maybe a little naive when it comes to some of those things, and makes me realize that big things can happen.
Sure.
I'll never forget having those conversations and telling clients everything's going to be okay, let's stick to the plan, and I believe that. But as the crisis went on more and more, I started to have some of those thoughts, well, maybe this time is different. And even though I worked,
I don't think you were alone. Definitely not.
And even though working for a big corporation, there was no support to his advisors, like to reaffirm that everything's going to be okay. Like, there was no senior advisor saying, "Hey, we've been through this before. Everything's going to be okay. Stick to the plan." Like, I was kind of on an island on my own, regurgitating the stuff that I believed, but the more I said it, the more I wondered. And I think one of the best things I've done in my career is keeping clients that were working with me personally in the game, and they all came out okay. But at the time, it was scary. And one thing the other thing I take away from this is that was my war wounds. Like, I went into the business in 2004. Saw pretty good markets, and then that was as a young advisor. Well, I've been through 2008, 2009.
Right.
I don't have gray hair yet, but that was my war wound. So I've been there, done that. Now I have some more credibility. So that's what I remember from the week. So any other thoughts on the great financial crisis or this week 10 years ago?
Not 10 years ago, no.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not naive enough to know that we're going to have another one eventually. I mean, we're both young guys. It's going to probably happen at some point before we're retired. So I think by having this kind of war wounds, by having a mental roadmap, I think definitely prepares for whenever, if it's 2 years or 20 years, to be able to kind of handle those types of situations, because it's behavior economics. I mean, it's just we're just going to keep repeating the same cycles of the psychology of it, and people need that reassurance.
And since I've got you here, not a recommendation, but I can't let you go. What's volatility telling us right now?
Volatility. Right, it's pretty interesting. We had a little bit of a pickup just about 2 weeks ago, or about a week and a half ago. We're back now. The VIX is under 13. I don't think we're seeing a point where VIX is gonna skyrocket, but it's starting to get a little interesting. It's got my interest. My volatility model hasn't said it's time to buy volatility yet, but it's getting closer to it. So it's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. But things look decent right now.
Okay.
We're contracting, seeing a little bit of contraction in the VIX, which is what I look for when the VIX begins to contract. So it's started that process, but not nearly enough to say, hey, we're getting kind of a warning sign. But we'll see what the next couple weeks bring.
All right, well, don't start trading the VIX, but definitely follow this guy for volatility. Andrew, thanks for stopping by, reliving the great financial crisis with me.
Thanks for having me.
Years ago. And now he's off to the gym to go get his weightlifting on.
Now we're gonna do some cardio.
No fun.
Now stairs.
All right, Andrew. We'll see you later, man.
All right, appreciate it.